this is the poster for the first TED conference. I don't think it's online. I have a feeling it will be online soon. The way I have this is I went to Richard Saul Wurman's house. He's the architect who said, let's have people in 1984, 41 years ago, talk across different disciplines. Now, the first event was such a success that a lot of people said there are a bunch of reasons we shouldn't do it again. And it wasn't until 6 years later, 1990, that the second TED has happened. Now, I say that because TED has achieved, I think, close to 4 billion views, users, plays of its talks online. Who's heard a TED Talk before? Okay. I mean, it's had tremendous impact. There are only 7,000 TED Talks on its homepage. But in 2006, Chris Anderson, who bought TED from Richard Saul Wurman, decided to put the talks online on YouTube, and they went viral without a paywall. Thank you, Chris Anderson, for being the visionary. From what I understand, your teammates said, that'll undermine the business model, don't do it. And he did it anyway. And then in 2009, Chris said, let's allow people to put an X by the word TED and put their geography, Fargo, other cities. And his team said, no, don't do that. It'll undermine, quality by letting anyone produce TED Talks. Today, there are 4,000 TEDx's a year, licenses. If you do the math, that's like 100 a day. Like, there's a TEDx somewhere today happening times 100. And all the TEDx's produce about 50,000 talks a year. And if you add it up, it's 290,000 TEDx talks plus the 7,000 on the TED homepage. So there's a real network effect happening there. It's kind of crazy. You look at the first TED, and there's only one female that spoke that day. And that was an inanimate object. That was the Lisa computer, the sister to the Macintosh. So I went to a bunch of TED conferences, and 1,800 people go to TED, and I would come back, and these are my 3 kids. Javi's 22 now. Lucia's a sophomore in college, and we have 2 dogs, not 1. And my kids would say, Dad, are you part of a cult? Who's this TED guy? Can we come with you to these conferences? You come back, bouncing off the walls with all these ideas. And I said, kids, it's cost prohibitive, and you have school. But when Chris Anderson started putting the TED Talks online, he added the tagline, ideas worth spreading. And my kids got me thinking, why don't I just take out one of these licenses? And I created a nonprofit called Ideas in Action. Because in my mind, it was a power up from ideas worth spreading. TED was doing great, but I wanted to go up a level. And so this was our logo. We wanted to 10x ideas, help ideas get escape velocity. And kind of fitting, our first speaker was Sunita Williams, hurling around the earth at 1,800 miles an hour. And here she is saying hello to us.
Hello, TEDx speaker.
So we've come a long way since then. But before even that first talk at TEDx Boston, I organized these things called adventures. I had all these people pitching me saying, hey, I'd love to give a talk. And sometimes I'd say, oh, that's great. But I'd be thinking, not a fit. Or there's some people that I'd be like, oh, just giving a talk isn't enough. I want more people to meet you. And so even before we did our first event, I organized these field trips. And this is one of them. We all signed NDAs. There's Javi with me. And we got to meet the guy that built the flying car. And he was revealing a new version of it. He put the propeller on the back. It wasn't really working out with the propeller on the front. And we got to hang out there. That was an adventure. Here's another adventure. And today I've talked to Dennis. And Dennis said the talk he gave, and the adventure was to support the talk, was the first time he articulated a big idea. And he was very appreciative of what I did. I mean, I had nothing to do with the research, but he said it helped kind of put a few things in motion. And today, that big idea is Commonwealth fusion. And if you follow energy, that's a major player and could have a profound impact on our society. But so this adventure was we got to do a petting zoo around energy. We got to go see a star on planet Earth. And here we are at that venue. Here's another adventure. I did it in my office. This is Erling Norby. For 22 years, he was one of 5 people that decided who got a prize, the Nobel Prize. And we sat with him for 90 minutes asking him who he thought shouldn't have gotten the prize and who he thought should have gotten the prize that didn't get it. It was fascinating. And the last of examples, and I did hundreds and hundreds of these. I did so many of these that more people came on adventures before the events that I curated or after, 365 days a year, than actually came to the events. This was a kind of an introvert. He actually never would have given a TED Talk, but he had the responsibility of writing the screenplay for The Town, a movie that Ben Affleck produced. And we walked around Charlestown, which the town is based on, and he explained like all the nuances of it. And I remember a bunch of Googlers came to this. I think they didn't want to be at Google, they wanted to be screenwriters, and so they were trying to get the inside scoop. So I realized that the TEDx's, the close to 4,000 TEDx licensors around the world, that was a network. And I said, I did a call to action. I said, any TEDxer, if you want to come to the event that I'm doing, I will train you on this adventure model. And every year I would take 100. I would tell them, if you fly there, I'll put you up. I didn't tell them I'd put them in a youth hostel. No one complained. But take a look at where just one of the cohorts came from. This is pretty diverse, and TEDxFargo was well represented. These are 6 snapshots of those cohorts. And does anyone know who the Green Lantern is? It's a ring and you have superpowers, DC Comics. I gave a red sweatshirt to all the adventure catalysts. That's what I called them. I said, put it on your LinkedIn, you're an adventure catalyst. And I said, I'm gonna give you a red sweatshirt that's gonna give you superpowers, like the Green Lantern ring. Don't tell them that I'm not quite sure that it has superpowers. But I said the red sweatshirt will allow you to look into your community and see opportunities that maybe you didn't see connections. And this was great, and this was a key part of our event for years. And some people said, John, you're just absolutely nuts to add this component to your program, because we would train them, we'd have them do push-ups and get out into the community. And I said, no, we can't afford not to do this. This helps with quality control, and there's all these wonderful things that come from it. So when I think of harnessing the network of the TEDx organizers, I realize that in producing our event, we're doing a number of things: curation, production, engagement, scaling, but we're also connecting with networks in each of these efforts. So a few years ago, we hit a milestone. We hit thousands and thousands of views, or thousands and thousands of talks. And I talked to my wife. I said, to what end are we doing this? And if we do the same number of talks for a certain amount of time, how do we make sure we're really having impact, a multiplicative impact from what we're doing? And so that's when we decided we'd focus on planet Earth. This is a symbol of planet Earth. And that we would focus on ideas that could scale by the end of the decade. And we'd curate speakers to spend 95% of the time on solutions that could be ready by the end of the decade. And some people have ideas, but won't kick in for like 200 years. And some people have ideas that are just rounding errors that we don't think will make a big difference. So we said we just want ideas that can scale by the end of the decade. And we want people to spend 5% on how bad things are, on the apocalypse, no more. And that if people want to talk about how bad things are, that's for another conference. Our conference is focused on solutions, and then we build a reputation around that. And so we identified the problem set. Let's go after ideas related to the climate crisis, toxicity crisis, and biodiversity crisis. But let's be solution-oriented, and let's curate ideas around nature systems, human systems, and social systems. And this chart is very important. It's like a Rosetta Stone. If you're an ultra-high net worth family, if you're a corporation, if you're a venture fund, you may be focused on one intervention. Maybe it's forests and trees. Maybe it's nuclear. And we want you to be able to see how we're going after those ideas. Now, one network that I realized is there are 180 R1 universities in the United States. I think they've rejiggered that definition. Maybe they're 210. And I said, let's go to all the R1 universities. Right now, some of them are not getting as funded as much as they used to be. And let's say to them, give us your best ideas. And it doesn't have to just be your tenured faculty. It could be your new undergrads or postdocs, or even your alumni. Let's harness this network and say, come, let us know what your ideas are. Some of these schools are getting multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar energy centers. but not all of them are going to get that. So we could be the equivalent to that for them. The other thing is, around the whole world, there are R1 type universities. Let's go after everyone. So this is a network that we wanted to harness. We also said to the speakers, and this is one of them, in addition to giving a TED talk, we want you to give a bunch of other kinds of talks. A technical talk, a business talk. At TED, you're not supposed to sell from the stage. We have a room where we want you to sell, sell, sell. We also are giving short form talks. Some people have a short attention span, Gen Z, millennials. We also want to do long form talks. And we want to expand our repertoire of types of talks as a way to tune in different people to really have impact. The other thing is journalists. That business model of journalism is hemorrhaging right now. And a lot of them, when they write about energy or sustainability, they write about how the sky is falling. They're not solution-oriented. So we could harness the journalists and say, come here and go shopping for ideas that are going to get you a Pulitzer and help create mind share of ideas that maybe no one's talking about that could have real impact, or maybe everyone's talking about it, but they got the wrong, we have other ideas on it. And we're also thinking of creative ways to also do production. In addition to the multi types of video, we put 2 jungle gyms together and had every speaker depict their idea with pipe cleaners. So the event, in terms of engagement, we want people to come together the week before Thanksgiving. It happens at MIT. We also do kind of like a Hollywood type experience at this social club, and we have alumni speakers give updates. We want people to have FOMO if they missed investing or doing philanthropy around some of the ideas. We have kind of a Y-Combinator event at the aquarium, and then this is the first Oval Office as they practice to make Teddy Roosevelt's Oval Office for the White House. The architects designed this one, and we ask speakers to harness their networks. Invite their friends or thought leaders around their ideas, or invite blockers. There may be people that are standing in their ideas' way, and bring them to the event, and maybe they could flip them. So that's another network that we're tapping into. So some of you know this is the dome. MIT students sometimes paint it as the R2-D2 or the Captain America shield. But this isn't the only dome. In January, I take over for a day a 56,000 square foot dome, and the best ideas of November we bring to the world stage and showcase here at the World Economic Forum. And that's another network that by coexisting in the same location of another event, we're able to harness that network. So we create a report, we distill some of the ideas, and we want to make it really easy for corporations, governments, ultra-high net worth family offices to come shopping for ideas that they can scale. So this is when John Sculley pushed Steve Jobs out of Apple, he put his identity on a product, and he said, I'm going to create the first PDA. He coined the word personal digital assistant. And he told his team, make it small enough that it could fit in your pocket. And his team couldn't make it small enough, so they broke into his office and made his coat pocket bigger. So this is what it is. But this product was an epic disaster because it was supposed to have handwriting analysis. There was a software team in Russia that was programming it. It got delayed, got delayed, got delayed. And when it finally came out, it didn't work. And that's AI. Today, AI is an interesting thing. For this, AI was a competitive disadvantage. But right now, AI can do extraordinary things. And what if all the ideas we curate, what if AI can help refine them or help scale them? So that's another way we want to harness a network. So today, this Planet Action idea, it's a little bit MacArthur Genius Fellowship to curate ideas. It's a little bit Oscars, the production we create. We want to get it out there. That's actually the room where the real Oscars are, if you've never been there. It's a little bit Allen and Company, Vanity Fair. You open up the cover of Vanity Fair, and it was also showcased in Succession. A lot of media moguls show up for this exclusive event. We want to bring people interested in sustainability to come together, and that's a little bit like that. And then finally, Y-Combinator has gotten a lot of attention. Airbnb and other startups came out of there. We want this to be the platform that great ideas can get escape velocity. And this is Leslie. He actually passed away last month. This is the Oscar that his dad and his uncle received for writing a movie called Casablanca. So this is the Oscar for that. And I realized it's just Oscar. It's just a guy. This planet that I had commissioned, Katie Coleman, who's traveled 98 million miles around the Earth, 2 space shuttle trips and 1 International Space Station trip. Her husband is a glassblower, and I commissioned him to make our Oscar. So every speaker that we commit to, we say, we're going to give you this Oscar or this planet, and in exchange, we want you to be part of our network and keep us updated on your ideas to help them get escape velocity. One of my prior speakers, this is Leonard. He got a Turing Prize, $1 million. I think it's under his bed. If he's not at home, you can go get it. A Turing Prize for computer science. He sent the first email over the, he created the ARPANET, sent the first email, and he reminded me, one node does not a network make. And then another friend of me also got a Turing Prize. He was at MIT when he saw the John Hancock building being built. All the windows had to be replaced. That's a whole other story. But as it was being built, he said to his classmates, I'm going to connect those people. And he did, and he created Ethernet. And you don't get computers talking to one another without Ethernet. And he coined, he's a very good marketer, Metcalfe's law. Everyone knows Moore's law about the chips, but Metcalfe's law has to do with the network effect. More things on network. You don't get social media network effect. And here he is in my office writing network effect equation. So what I'm committed to do is, at this point, we're in the geographic center of North America. I was very calculated as to where I wanted to present today. Canada, Mexico, this is the center. I want to create a platform that can get some of the best ideas to scale and harness network effects around curation, production, engagement, and scaling. And we've had 400 speakers to date. Some of them were moving along. Some were saying, we may have gotten it wrong. But I want this to be a place where people go shopping for ideas that can help our species thrive. And I'm not using the word climate because that's a loaded word. I'm using the word planet action. And we're at an interesting point where we're 250 years away from when our nation was born. But if you know your Star Trek, which I certainly do, I taught a class on Star Trek, James T. Kirk and the Enterprise flew in the galaxy 250 years from now, fictionally. I haven't been there. I don't have a DeLorean. And if you know what this is, you know it's a real one. It's from the future. This is a Star Trek communicator. I think as we think about turning 250 as a nation, we got to think, where are we going to be in 250 years? And I think a platform like this that harnesses the network effect of different networks is a way that we can ensure our sustainability and that our species can thrive. Thank you very much.